in a perfect world, we would all be well connected, but we end up pretty fragmented, and we often have a lot of disbelief. A lot of people are in a lack of rapport with themselves. A lot of people want to go to the gym, but they struggle to turn up. A lot of people want to make more money, but they don't want to work. A lot of people want better relationships, but again, they're not always prepared for the write-off. So we often get the split. When we're aligned, everything comes easier. So the more we develop communication between our conscious and unconscious, the better. All right, so today in this session, we're going to cover the N-Step Reframe. We actually moved through framing and reframing before. If you remember, framing can be a metaphor similar to framing is glasses. If you ever remember, like when you first discovered love or had a first kiss, remember the first time you had a kiss? You may feel something. And when you go down the street, it's like you've got rose-colored glasses on. And we're in an emotional state of like love. And we walk down the street and we see the butterfly. And we see stuff. And it's just beautiful. And then we end up, we break up. We have a heartbreak. Or something happens and we lose our money. And then we get these glasses on and it's like, everything sucks. Yeah? So these glasses... or frame. The frame, we see the world. If we have an experience like love, we come in and we're still carrying that frame of love, right? And we're talking about taking a bit of control over this frame and changing the frame. So once we have the frame, we can reframe it, we can change it. The N-Step, we call it N-Step. Originally, it was 6 steps because it was 6 specific steps to reframe a behavior or a belief. So a behavior like my boy picking his nose. Yeah? Or wetting the bed. But it can also be a belief. If someone has a belief of they're not good enough. I'm not good enough. Kind of common. Right? So we can change that belief. Now, we had a 6-step reframe, but sometimes it takes a bit more than 6 steps. Sometimes in the middle, it has to loop around a little bit. So we started to call it the N-Step instead of the 6-step. Right? So we have about 6 steps, but it could be more. And we can take anything from picking our nose to doing cocaine to self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs. There is so much you can do inside the N-Step. It's not funny. You can do just about anything through here. So that's what we're going to cover today. So if you've ever had a belief that you've struggled to change or a behavior that you've struggled to change, this is a session for you. Any questions? Can this work on that? Yeah, probably. Can this work on that? Yeah, probably. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have habits. I don't like to get up early. But I try to change the habits and the behavior. But I don't have strong the capacity to change it, because I think if I get up later, then I can go to bed later. So I can balance something. So I don't think it's so hurry to do it. So I will delay and don't want to change it. But actually, I
Perfect,
want
Sunny.
to change it.
Perfect, Sunny. Perfect. And sometimes there's behaviors, and once we understand it, we actually realize, hang on, we don't need to change it. So this also works for things where we don't actually need to change it. And if we don't actually need to change it, the start of this process gives us more awareness as to why we do that in the first place. And that's why I love this particular session, because even if we just do the first half, if you just recognize a deeper reason, not the first reason, but a deeper reason why you do that, then that will give you the awareness and the choice. And that's what our work is about. It's not about me telling you, it's about me assisting you in getting more choice. You set your values, you set your criteria on what's important, the result you want. I'll help you get the awareness to get there. So any kind of habit this works for, any kind of belief this works for. If I was to help someone with smoking being one of the hardest addictions, hardest, or I should say funnest. If I'm doing a quit smoking process, I might do 1 or 2 N-steps in the process. Any addiction or tough behavior will probably do a couple of N-steps in it. But it can also be not waking up on time. It could also be someone who doesn't go to the gym enough. Questions as we go, feel free to use the chat window. It is recorded. If anyone has a problem with the recording, just let me know. And thankfully, everyone knows where the bathroom is. Now, I'd like to flick through a couple of the slides and get towards some of the juicy stuff. So Ray and Harold, you guys know this process. Darko knows this process. Yeah. All our communication is frames. Some people get this straight away. Sunny, Stella, some people might not, but as we mentioned, everything is framed. But the frame isn't always explicit. Sometimes we don't know what the frame is. So frames can be explicit, we know what it is, and frames can be implicit. Yeah? When frames are spoken out loud, great. But when the frames are kind of hidden, when the glasses are hidden, that can create a problem. So none of our framing, none of our work, no communication has meaning on its own. Just like the eyes here. Did I do that right? Yeah. The face doesn't have any meaning. If you look at one eye, it doesn't have much meaning. But when you have 2 eyes, you have more meaning. When you have a smile, you have more meaning. There's a lot more meaning that is hidden. Second point, we always try to prove ourselves right. So if we have frames on, if we go through a heartbreak and think life sucks, or if we have depression, yeah, I actually said that word, depression. Sorry, anyone that doesn't know, we laugh at depression. It's not a real thing. But if we were to have depression, we'd be wearing depression glasses, and we would go through life looking at everything through depression glasses. And if we see a doctor and get a diagnosis and we get some pills, that's going to make that even stronger. And then I'm going to eliminate a lot of the real world, and I'm going to see the depressed world because I'm depressed. Right? Now, if I'm depressed, yeah, thanks, Ray. I saw that. Yeah, if I'm depressed, I will try to make myself depressed. And maybe I don't want to, but if I'm depressed, it's going to shape the way I see the world, and I will try to prove myself right. That's why it's so important that we love ourselves and do the work in ourselves. Because if we don't do the work in ourselves, yeah, we're going to screw up there as well. So placebo effect, arguments, inner conflicts. Now I'm going to skip through a bit of this fast. One of my favorite ways is you guys all know I love mindfulness. Mindlessness, very low awareness of frames. Low skill with framing. Mindfulness, aware of the frames, ownership of the frames. And ownership isn't always easy. Okay. I know we're going a bit fast, but so far we're on track. Now, communication, when I say so far we're on track, we could have our surface level track and we can have our deeper and deeper track. Mindfulness, it can all go deeper and deeper. When we communicate, are we all on track? If I just ask a question quickly, are we all on track? Good, let's keep going ahead. But I might actually pause for a second. I just want to check in. Are we on track? Any questions at the moment? Cool. We're getting close to the N-Step, but we're not quite at the N-Step yet. The other week when I was talking about this, or the other month, we were talking about mindfulness, and we had up to here. These slides that I've just shown you, we had a full session on this about a month ago. And from that month, everyone went away with the mission to go deeper. So a bit of homework in our last session, we were getting everyone to go from surface level communication to deeper. Remember? So we were asking people questions like, what? What do you really want? So when Sunny says, how are you doing? Sunny, remember that? How are you doing? I actually thought about it. When someone asks me how I'm doing, it's very easy just to be on the surface level and go, great. But if we actually stop for a second, how are we actually doing? Can take it even further. How are we really doing? How are you really doing? Yeah. A lot of people like to live on the surface level. It's just good, mate. I'm good. As a soldier, we just had a special day, and a lot of guys are just like, good. How you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. But some soldiers, you ask them how they're doing, and they're like, and they're the ones I often connect more with and we talk a bit more with. And they often tell me, life's actually pretty, yeah, but we talk about it. And by talking about it, I believe it helps. When we're talking about it, if I ask the question why, what happens when we ask why, guys? Oh, I see your lips moving, Darko. No voice coming through. And Darko's got this fantastic, beautiful microphone as well. Where's that microphone?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Why?
Why it put us in the position to defend?
Why puts us in the position to defend?
To defense, yes. I believe so.
Typically, when you ask someone why, they go on the defensive as to why.
Mm.
Like, why did you do that? Oh, why? And people go to the first answer they get. The first answer they get, and they generally roll with that. So why did you do that? Defensive, the first answer. My searching stops. I'm only on the surface level. So in coaching, and you'll see professional coaching is all about asking what. Like, what did you do that for? Oh, what did I do that for? Gets people going deeper. If you want people to go deeper and get more exploration, what? Just start the question with what. If you want, just say what. What? And some other words will just roll out of your mouth. Yeah? So if someone didn't make it to your class, what happens when you ask them, why didn't you make it to class? You know exactly what you get. But ask, and Brooke, I'd love to hear an answer. What happens if you ask someone, what was the purpose in not coming to class? I can't hear you yet. I'm sure you're.
Yeah. They must have really good reason for missing my class if it didn't turn up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
And do you find if you ever ask people why, they're just like, oh, a reason?
I don't tend to ask people why. So, you know, people turn up or don't turn up. Yeah, there's always a reason, but yeah, usually I don't find out until a week. If they're happy to share that with me, then that's their prerogative.
And sometimes we never find out. And sometimes they stop turning up to class or they stop talking with you or something. So I'd like to encourage you guys to consider using the what question. And then you have a bit more of a deeper talk. Because when you ask what was the purpose in not coming, or what was more important than this class, any of those questions are different to why. So the person has to search more. And whenever they get an answer, you can always say, what do you think is the real reason? And just leave it right there. What do you think is the real reason? They can say whatever, that is the reason. I just wanted to check. I just thought, what if there was something deeper? That's all. And you can leave it as that. And that person will consider deeper what was the purpose. Now, if I think what was the purpose in not going to a class, if I've got the gym, if I've paid for the class and I don't turn up, what's the purpose? Well, because I'm late. Why am I late? Well, X and Z, but what's the purpose in being late? Well, the purpose in being late was actually because, well, I didn't prioritize. So anyway, when we go to what, we get more of the deeper. And the N-Step Reframe is we get deeper on what is actually causing the problem. And that's what makes the N-Step powerful, is we're doing a deeper level solution, not a surface level solution. If someone doesn't make it to your class, or you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they don't turn up, we ask them why, surface level reasoning. But if we get down deeper, remember some of the stuff down deeper, sometimes people never talk about it. Sometimes people don't even actually get it in themselves. Sometimes people don't go deeper inside themselves. So we're actually doing people a service in inviting them to consider what was the purpose. And of course, you could ask, what was the purpose in coming to the class in the first place? Or what was the purpose in coming on a date? What was the purpose of calling me boyfriend, girlfriend if you weren't going to come to my house? You know? Or what was the purpose in making an agreement if you weren't going to stick to it? Okay? So all that stuff gets us a bit deeper. We're on track? So N-Step, we're going deeper. Won't actually do this. We did an exercise and we had an exercise in pairs and we were going deeper. I would like to refresh you guys on this picture. Ideally, people would go, there's something I really want to do today, but didn't. X. X is whatever reason. X is a code. So ideally, people would go, oh, I really wanted to go to the class today, but I didn't. Right? Now, the first level of awareness is, well, I didn't do that because I didn't have time. A deeper truth is I didn't manage my time well, or I have scarcity of time. An even better answer would go down to the third level of I didn't give it time because I don't really value it or believe it. The deeper we go, the better answer we get. But the problem is this monsters. There's a lot of monsters in the way. It's almost as if a lot of people are afraid of being wrong. Do you think people might be afraid of being wrong? Well, in my
Yes.
household, being right's pretty darn important. Sunny, Darko, I see your mics are off. Is being right in your household important?
Household.
Yeah, being right in your family.
But you just say sometimes we're afraid of worry about to the people think we are not good.
All right, that could be a monster. I reckon that could be a monster. Worrying about what other people think.
Yeah. I always worry some people what's their opinion about me, and before I'm so worse about this kind of thing. For example, if my colleague say some sentence and do some behavior, I will think in my mind. My colleague focus on to me. He said a sentence is just let me to think out to listen to it. I will think some people's sentence is just talk about me. So I will think and think over. Yeah.
Does your colleague look like one of these monsters? Maybe. But in my household, when I grew up, being right was important. Being right was important. So I might not go down to the second level or third level because, well, being right is important. Fear, vulnerability. Vulnerability is a big thing. A lot of people don't get close to things like sadness, grief, fear, because they think getting near those subjects means they're a lower quality human being. So what I suggested last time was ideally we would do things like the N-Step Reframe on the monsters. The best thing I've done in the last 10 years is I got comfortable leaning into fear. I got comfortable being vulnerable. I got comfortable being brutally honest. Yeah. So I didn't do the work on why I didn't do X, or why I didn't do Y, or why I didn't go to the gym, or why I didn't achieve this. I did the work on the monsters. I became brave with being vulnerable. I became open. I became willing to go deeper. I became willing to drown in quicksand, knowing that I can have my hand up and Darko or Janine would help me. So the big point of that last session, we were talking about reframing the monsters. Would anyone like to share with us how you reframe something? How do you face or frame something that's hard? Maybe you don't consider it hard. Maybe other people do.
Can I? Reframing, I think the best way is first to acknowledge what we are doing and then to reframe in a positive way. For example, I acknowledge that I didn't manage to go on gym today, but it doesn't mean that I will not improve my discipline. For example, this is the instead of beating myself, why you have not go to gym, why you have to do this, and evoking negative feelings, is to acknowledge, okay, I didn't went to gym today, but I will improve my discipline. So this from me is a good reframing way.
Wonderful. And Darko, is there something you do regularly that other people might get scared of? Something I do daily is I help people go to the scariest shit in their entire life. And I'll take them to the scariest point and I'll sit there with them and hold their hand.
I'm not sure, no.
But there's things you do that, yep, Brooke?
Adrian, what's an example of something like that? what are we talking about in that context?
Going to the gym every day or every session planned and not sleeping in, not chickening out. Because how many people do courses like PTI, CrossFit, yoga? How many people do those trainings and never teach? But you teach. You do what scares the hell out of most people in this town, and you do it over and over and over again. And you do it with a smile, right?
Yes, teaching is different to doing. And, you know, for myself, I enjoy turning up to a class and doing a class just as much as teaching a class. So I'll go and do what I teach with another instructor in their class because I enjoy just being a participant. It's a different level.
You enjoy working out? You enjoy working out? You weirdo.
I know, right?
So you work out and do all these exercise classes and you really enjoy it?
Yes.
Is
Because
it,
I did the classes first and then became an instructor.
would anyone else like to have that kind of enthusiasm towards going to fitness classes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't been to my class, obviously.
I can keep go to gym regularly because I like doing exercise. After every time I do exercise, then I feel so good. So I can do it.
That's
I
how
think-
I frame it. That's how I frame it too, Sonny. I don't necessarily like the workout, but I like how I feel afterwards. But either way, we found a way to frame it. We found a way to get to the gym. Brooks found a way to get to the gym and become a professional at it. We found ways to reframe or reframe the way we go to the gym. And it may not even be a reframe. I work out and I love my kids, and my kids know I love working out. And I exaggerate a little bit about how much I love it because I want my kids to grow up liking the idea of looking after their mind and body. But a lot of us are not like that. So we have to find a way to change our mind or perhaps change our personality so that we can enjoy that working out. But for some people, it might be not working out. It might be food, eating different foods or different habits. Anyway, we actually have the ability. We really have the ability to completely change the way we respond to things like working out, eating food, addictions, trauma, you name it. We have the ability as humans to totally change the way we approach these things. We don't have to be stuck by old limitations. And the way we do it is by changing the frames. So when you change the frame, you change the whole meaning, you change your perception. This is a basic reframe. These two look exactly the same, but you could just as easily be scared and another person could be excited. It's only a small little shift. And excitement and fear actually has a lot of the similar chemistry or biological reactions in a human being. Excitement and scary, it both picks your heart up. Your heart beats faster. Your blood circulates more. And one you're going, woohoo! And the other one you're going, whoa! It's a subtle difference. But we can actually teach ourselves and we can learn to have more excitement and a lot less scary. I have very little fear in my life, and I used to have a lot more. Okay, so ideally, this is the same picture we had before, only we've changed it. So now if we can have those monsters in the green and recognize this is a small goal for some people, perhaps, how would it be if every time you felt those monsters, or what are other people going to say about me? Or am I good enough? What if whenever we had those thoughts, we leaned into it? If we do, becoming more mindful or getting deeper and working on ourselves just becomes more and more rewarding. So consider whatever monsters. Some people seem to have monsters which are a bit more like the world is a dangerous place. Other people judge me. Some people have monsters a bit more like I'm not good enough, or I won't succeed, or everything has to be perfect. Perfectionism. Whatever kind of monsters we have, I would like to suggest that they're some of the most powerful monsters to work on. So if I have the perfectionist model where everything has to be perfect, I could do N-Step on making the perfect PowerPoint, or having the perfect partner, having the perfect kids, having the perfect hair, whatever. But instead of working on all those things, how about I just work on trying to be perfect? What's the purpose in trying to be perfect? What's the purpose in trying to be perfect? What's the purpose in believing that you're not loved enough? Or what's the purpose in worrying about what other people think? That is how we are about to get into how to actually make these changes.
For me, sometimes I purpose, worry about the people, what they are think about me. Because I always want to keep good relationship with the people around me, and the ones they think I'm good. And but now I'm become better. But before I just graduated from university. I'm totally worst about it, and always worry I'm not good, and people don't like me, and people think I'm not good, work well, and yeah.
Darko, can you write down a couple of limiting beliefs that you just heard? And one of them was, Sunny, did you say you have to be good with everyone? Or you want to?
I say I worry about before. I always worry about some people around me think I'm not good.
Yeah.
I always want to keep good relationship with every person around me.
That's it, Darko. That one there. That one there. I always want to have good relations with people around me. One of the earlier beliefs Sunny said is before. And I'm not worried about that because she said before. Yeah. So the first thing she said was past beliefs. In the past, she was worried. But the one I want to capture there is that last thing she said. I hope you got to write that down, Darko. Sunny, how do you feel about not liking some people or some people not liking you?
Um. When I don't like some people,
I
I
okay,
just
sorry, Sunny.
I just
I just pause. We got you. We got you. We can hear that loud and clear. Thank you, Sunny. I'm going to buy you a drink in Bukit Bintang one day while you're still in Malaysia. Sunny, we're going to share a couple of things you said a bit later on, if that's okay. Thank you for your shares. Some of the things that I call them super reframes. So rather than reframing a small thing, reframing these bigger things. These are the bigger things well worth doing the framing on. And even though I've done a lot of work on myself, if someone said, hey, let's get together and do an experience, let's do a process for a midlife, whatever these things are, these super reframes, these are particular areas where you might want to work on changing. Negative events are just experiences. Negative events, positive events, they can just become experiences. That's a way. Negative emotions, like if I have a negative emotion like fear, for me, that's a temporary opportunity. You can do whatever you like, but for me, fear is a temporary opportunity. It's a torch going on. So I want to look because there's an opportunity there. If I'm having a kind of a reaction in my body, like a reaction or an excitement reaction, it's an opportunity to look deeper. A lot of people think childhood trauma stops them, but childhood trauma is how things like the bloody light bulb got created. If it wasn't for childhood trauma, we wouldn't have Einstein, and we definitely wouldn't have Teslas. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I like the cars. But someone like Elon Musk, if he didn't have childhood trauma, probably wouldn't do anything that he does. You can go, oh, it's childhood trauma, but I see childhood trauma as long-term opportunity. Midlife crisis, midlife opportunity. Things that are scary and hard, they're just unknown. Most things that people say are scary or hard are just unknown. Does anyone know John Gottman? Anyone heard of John Gottman? John Gottman is one of the father of relationship therapy or counseling or something. John Gottman talks about a perpetual problem. Man and woman get together and 90% of their fights are over the same thing. It's a perpetual problem, a problem that keeps coming. It's like the woman is more heart-centered, the man's more brain-centered, so they have a bit of a conflict, and this conflict goes on forever. It's a perpetual problem. If only John Gottman studied our work, he would say, oh, it's not a perpetual problem. It's a perpetual opportunity. Yeah? So, super reframes. I was just saying to a friend the other day, she's having a really hard time. And I'm like, don't worry, dear. You're only at chapter 33. Could be another 20 or 50 chapters in this book. It's all good. What do you think about that last sentence there? Do you complain if a movie gets too scary? Do you close your eyes? Do you hide behind the couch? Or are you like me? You just completely avoid them. In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we have about 9 presuppositions, and I've personally expanded mine to about 13. Here are some beliefs. I like these beliefs. I like these beliefs. I was having some challenges in a relationship, a business relationship, and then I took some advice from intimate relationships. And normally it's discussed in intimate relationships, but I applied it to my business relationship. When I was having a bit of a problem with a business partner, I considered that. All the experiences can lead us to more consciousness. So when I was having challenges with a relationship, a business relationship, I was able to learn a lot more. A lot of people have the belief that if you're having a problem with a business partner, the best thing you can do is cancel it and stop it. If you're with a boyfriend, girlfriend, and it's not working, well, you end the relationship. Well, you could. You could also use it as an excuse or a reason to dig deep. Okay, I just want to check in. Are you guys okay to do a little exercise? Hi. All right. I'd like for you to just take a couple of deep breaths. Couple of breaths. And just put your attention on your breath. Is your exhale as long as your inhale? Let's see if we can get our inhale and our exhale pretty equal. Now, do you remember a time? Do you remember a time when your body has given you a yes signal? So take a breath, and I want you to come into yourself and remember a time when your body has given you a yes signal. Do you know sometimes your body gives you a signal like yes? Maybe you've seen a class or you've seen a book and your body is just like, yes, I want it, or yes, and get it. And what does that feeling feel like? Where does it start? Where does it end? Is it in your stomach? Or in your, where is it? What does that yes signal feel like? And can you make that yes signal bigger? Make that signal bigger. When I get a yes signal, part of my body kind of leans forward. And my whole body kind of leans forward. What's your yes signal like? What's your yes feel like? When your body gives you a yes.
I feel proudness.
You feel what?
Proudness.
Okay,
Good
I
feeling,
hear you
proud.
say proudness, and how do you feel proudness? What's the sensation? Something in your face?
It's light. It's light in my chest.
Light in your chest.
Yes.
How else do you guys experience a yes in your body? Harold, just for interesting sake, could you try looking right down here and see if it does a difference?
Looking to you or looking to me?
Looking down towards your left or right knee. You know, eye accessing cues. Does that make a difference for you when you feel the yes?
It maybe has influence. I start to rethink it. I question the feeling.
Yeah. And we want to feel more than think. Right? So when we are thinking, we're using more of the head, but our body can actually communicate with us. And we want our body to say yes or no. And rather than thinking, and the reason I said it to Harold is I know he can do this. He's perfectly well trained at doing this. He may not have done it for a couple of months, right? Yeah. I got the opinion that Harold was thinking and maybe thinking if it's right, but I want him to go into the feelings and feel if it's right. When we're accessing our feelings, our eyes generally go down. You know, people put their head down and they look down. I discovered this for myself about 10 years ago at a special Anzac Day for the Australian soldiers. And, you know, for 10 years, I had to hold back tears. So the way I would hold back, everyone's like this, you know, looking down on the ground. And when the tears would come, I was just like, up. And when I looked up, I wouldn't get the tears. So that's how I got through so many funerals, just looking up. Yeah. When I looked down, I felt the feelings and I started to really feel it, right? So I want you to actually really feel that your body can give you a yes signal. And you might remember a time when your body has done that for you. Can I see who's got a really clear yes signal? So? Yeah, great. How about you, Brooke? Have you ever done this before?
No, I haven't this before.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Right.
understand the concept, though, of getting the answer from the
Yes.
body, not the head. Yeah. So, guys, if we go into the head, we want to go into the body, and for this particular exercise and for a lot of things, we get a better answer from the body. Not always. Okay? So in our body, we can get a yes signal, and we can make that stronger. With a little bit of practice, you can actually develop and strengthen that. And you could even strengthen it to the fact that you'll automatically start to get answers more from your body. Right? And if you get if your head and body are giving you different answers, that's excellent too. That means it's time to go work on that. Get that aligned. Get that aligned, right? So if your head and your heart, or your head and your body are giving you different questions, it's a good call to get more aligned. Now we're going to do this again, but this time different. This time different. What's that picture in your background, right? Okay, sorry, don't. It's not as cool as my one. No. Distraction, slight distraction. Now, take a breath again. Take a breath or two. This time, we're really going to feel in our body, and we're going to ask our body to give us a no signal. Do you remember a time when you have made a wrong decision or a bad decision, or your body has given you like a feeling of, no, it's the wrong thing, don't do it? I'll never forget, I rented to someone privately. I gave them the keys to my house, and then I left the property, and as I was leaving the property, I had this big feeling in my belly of, uh-oh. Yeah? And I had this big uh-oh feeling in my body, and I went, no, override it, and I overrid it, and that mistake cost me thousands of dollars. But while I was leaving, my body was giving me this big, strong no. So what does a no feel like in your body? No. And some people may ask, unconscious, please give me a no signal. Don't ask, can you? Say, give me a no signal. Unconscious, please give me a no signal. Able to feel it? A second part of this is, if you were to fake it, could you tell? Because if I consciously try to fake it because my head really wants to make the money, my body is saying no, my head's saying yes. If I try to fake it, it doesn't feel the same. It feels different. It's like there's a fake no, it doesn't feel the same. There's a real no. It's there. It's in my belly. It's circling. So we want to get a yes. We want to get a no. We might go for a not yet. Not enough information. That's a third signal. Not yet. Not enough information. Another way you can do this is by using a pendulum. Anyone have a pendulum handy? Look at Ray. Ray's like, yep. Can you hold it up and show us, Ray? Oh, keep it there, keep it there, keep it there. Okay, yeah. So with Ray's pendulum there, generally he'll hold his hand just on the table or just off the table. I like to hold it just on the table. And you can ask the pendulum Pendulum, please give me a yes signal. Make the yes bigger. Make the yes bigger. Thank you. Thank you. Unconscious, please give me a no signal. Please give me a no signal. Make it bigger. Thank you. I typically find for me, my yes, no, the pendulum typically goes forward. And in my body, it goes forward as well. I typically get a no going left and right, or I get it in the belly. And sometimes I'll get the no, I'll get the not yet. And my pendulum will do loops. And that's my not yet, not enough information. So there's three distinct ones. Yes, no, not yet enough information. We can often work with not yet enough information. But if you ever get to a point where you're not sure, should I move house or should I not, you get a divided mind and body, practicing a pendulum or this way is a way to develop connection. In a perfect world, we would all be well connected, but we end up pretty fragmented and we often have a lot of, what do you call it? Disbelief. A lot of people are in a lack of rapport with themselves. A lot of people want to go to the gym, but they struggle to turn up. A lot of people want to make more money, but they don't want to work. A lot of people want better relationships, but again, they're not always prepared for the write-off. So we often get the split. When we're aligned, everything comes easier. So the more we develop communication between our conscious and unconscious, the better. I no longer use a pendulum and I no longer use this. I can simply ask and my body answers. Except sometimes my body answers with that not yet. Okay, so we're just about at the end step. We've got all the pieces to kind of put it together. Anyone want to ask a question like what's the unconscious or anything like that? No? Cool. Small thing. Our conscious is rather limited. I like to believe our conscious is like a flashlight. If you were to think about a pink elephant, our flashlight goes to somewhere in our imagination in real life and we see a pink elephant. That elephant was there all along, but it wasn't just there. We put our conscious attention on the elephant, we see the elephant. Our conscious is limited. We say our conscious is limited between 5 to 9 bits of information. And I think a lot of women are probably more on the 9 to 12. And I know a lot of guys are struggling to get up to 5. There's only so much information we can consciously process. Some people do this multitasking thing and they go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, Z, whatever it is, right? And they can count. But some people do multitasking. Hey, who's a good multitasker here? We can blow this out of the water. We can blow multitasking out of the window in a minute. How long does it take you to recite the alphabet A to Z and then count from 1 to 10? How long will it take for you to do the alphabet and then count from 1 to 10? Who reckons they can do it in less than a minute? Anyone else do the alphabet and count to 10 in less than a minute?
If I do one by one, yes, I can do.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to multitasking, I want you to consider this. Now, Darko, you're going to do it both at the same time. So A1, B2, C3. When you're ready, up to 10.
A1, B2, C3, D4. It's my second. I need to translate in English. So
5, F6,
F6,
7,
7,
H, 8, I, 9, J, 10.
10. Yes. It's hard.
So it takes a long time to multitask. Our conscious is moving from numbers to letters, numbers to letters, numbers to letters, numbers to letters. It does it. It's a lot better off going one way than the other way. So when we do this, this is your conscious. Your conscious is going A1, B2, C3. But the alphabet is stored in the unconscious. That's the way we do it in our work. We say conscious and unconscious. Unconscious means not conscious. Yeah. So we don't have a subconscious and an unconscious, because if we have three of them, where does one start? Where does the other end? Where is the line between sub and un? So we work with a model of conscious and unconscious. Whatever's conscious is limited. Unconscious, unlimited. We want to develop as much rapport as we can, or as much connection as we can, between conscious and unconscious. The unconscious really is the supercomputer. In your unconscious includes all of your past experiences. Your conscious is just like a little flashlight on top. But what we do is we set up frames. We set it up so that when someone goes through the process, their conscious attention is on specific areas at specific times, and we can walk someone through a process just by having a series of frames or boxes, and people's conscious attention goes on each box. And by the time they get to box 6 or 7, they've got an amazing solution. Okay, so the conscious is just the tip. The unconscious is the super house. And what we just did was we asked the question consciously. Unconscious, give us a yes. The unconscious gave us a yes. Unconscious, give us a no. Unconscious gave us a no. Unconscious, give us a sign or a signal for not yet enough information. We didn't really do that, but you can do that in your own time. How we doing? All right? We generally start with our present state. A lot of therapy will call it the problem state. But by calling it a problem, we've already framed it as a problem. So our present state. I'm picking my nose too often. I want to communicate. I want to communicate with the part of me that is picking my nose. So I want to communicate, not up here with my head. I want to communicate with my body. And I want to communicate with the part of me that puts my finger in my nose. Yeah? Or communicate with the part of me that makes me do the drug or do the bad behavior, or the part of me, whatever it is. So step 1 is all about getting the present state. Part 2, communicating with that part. Once we communicate with the part, I like picking my nose. Sorry. What's the positive intention? Well, why am I picking my nose? I like it. I'm bored. I want to clean out my nose in case anyone sees up it. Whatever it is. There's always a positive intention. NLP, as we all know, there's always a positive intention, yeah? It's not really spoken about, but I believe if there's always a positive intention, there's probably always a negative intention too. Anyway, so present state, communicate with the part that's causing the issue, asking what's the positive intention? What's the positive intention of picking your nose? Oh, the positive intention of picking my nose is I want, okay, well, create alternative ways to do it. How else can you do it without picking your nose? What are the alternatives? Right. Once we find an alternative, we're going to ask our unconscious. We're going to ask our unconscious, what's with this part? Then we'll kind of ask the unconscious, what's the positive intention? And then we're going to ask our unconscious, create alternative ways to do better. Or create alternative ways that we will fulfill the positive intention without the negative consequences. We can then even ask the unconscious to make the changes, do the work for us. I had a teenager, she was raped, and we did the whole processes on her, and we never even said the word. We never spoke about the man. We never spoke about the incident. We never spoke about what she had to do. We did the whole lot unconsciously because, you know, rape for a child is a pretty serious thing. So we just did the whole thing unconscious, outside of her awareness. And yeah, great result. And if it can work for that, it can work for picking your nose. And lastly, we do the ecology check. But the ecology check may not necessarily be there at the end, but all our processes have ecology check in there somewhere. Okay. So this is the overview. The overview, and now we're going to step it out. Step one is our present state.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.